All right, welcome. Today we're going to dive into a really powerful ancient story, one that appears in the Gospels. What we're going to do is look at it through two very different lenses, a modern narrative take and the classical scriptural account, just to see what new insights we can uncover.
So, our story kicks off not in some grand temple, but in a private home. And this opening line, it really sets the tone, doesn't it? It tells us we're in a space that's buzzing with tension. It's a place that feels safe, sure, but it isn't necessarily sacred.
And you know, this distinction is everything. A sanctuary, well, that offers divine protection. But a safe house? That's different. It's just a temporary hideout from a threat that everyone knows is very, very real. The doors are locked, the lamps are lit, yeah, but the danger is still right outside. And the rules inside, they're unspoken, but they are definitely not absent.
So inside this safe house, you've got this gathering of men. And what's fascinating here is how power works. It's all very quiet, this male fellowship where everyone just kind of knows their place without a single word having to be said about it.
These are the invisible laws running the whole show. You can just feel the hierarchy, right? It's all about who gets to talk the longest, who everyone actually listens to, and who can just cut someone off without getting called out on it. And look at that last point. Women are present, yeah, but they're basically just there to serve a function, to keep the machine running in the background. They are absolutely not meant to be a real force in the center of the room.
And this is the moment where everything pivots. A woman walks in and she immediately shatters all those unspoken rules. She's not there to serve. And the room, you can feel it. It registers her instantly, not as a person, but as a category, a sinner, a problem.
Now, she's holding this thing, an alabaster jar. But you have to understand, this isn't just perfume. Think of it as her entire security blanket. It's the last valuable thing she owns, maybe an inheritance, a dowry. It's her only private line of escape in a world that hasn't given her a lot of options.
And then, she does something that can't be taken back. With one single, decisive move, she breaks the jar.
The sound is just sharp, final. And in a split second, this rich, unignorable scent just floods the entire space. It's more than a smell, it's an atmosphere. It gets into the clothes and the breath of every single person in that room. And just like that, she makes everyone a participant. There are no bystanders anymore.
Let's be clear. This is not an act of seduction. This is raw, unapologetic human contact. You get the sense that her body is moving with this kind of clean, almost frightening sincerity, like someone who has just given up on protecting herself with ambiguity. She pours the oil over Jesus, and by doing that, she forces everyone in that room to be a witness to her choice.
For the men in the room, this is a complete and total loss of control. The first thing that happens is physical. Their bodies react. A tightening, a bracing against this emotional disruption. And it's only after that physical reaction that their minds catch up, rationalize that discomfort, and slap a label on it: moral judgment.
And their judgment, it finds its voice in numbers. They put a price tag on her action. 300 denarii, that's a full year's wages for a regular working guy. It's a huge amount of money. And this number, it becomes their shield. It's a rational-sounding objection to something they just can't process emotionally. Judas is the one who speaks up, who gives voice to the whole room's anxiety. And his critique, man, it sounds so reasonable, so compassionate, right? It makes him look morally serious and makes her look reckless. It is the perfect way to take back the moral high ground.
So, here it is. This is the crucial point. Her act was one of pure, raw vulnerability. It was grief and love and cost, all of it poured out right there. And the men, they couldn't handle it. So what did they do? They reframed it. They turned it into an accounting problem, a debate about money that they felt they could control and win.
Okay, so now let's switch gears and look at the parallel story from the Gospel of Luke, just to see how a different author frames the same basic event. Here, the judgment is totally different. The Pharisee who's hosting isn't worried about wasted money. Nope. His problem is about purity, about status. A real prophet, he thinks, would never let a sinner touch him.
Back in that first narrative, Jesus' response is so sharp, so direct. He doesn't even bother defending her by explaining why she did it. He aims right at her accusers. And his choice of that word, trouble, that's fascinating. He's basically calling out their inability to handle someone else's raw honesty.
And then, with just one word, Jesus completely flips the script on her action. It wasn't wasteful, it wasn't inappropriate, he calls it beautiful. By doing that, he doesn't just validate her, he completely dismantles the entire argument they were trying to build.
And then Jesus gives her act a meaning that no one in that room saw coming. He says this wasn't just some spontaneous gesture, it was a prophetic anointing for his burial. Boom! He brings the reality of his own death crashing into a safe house that was built to deny that very thing.
And this reveals something incredible, that she, the outsider, the sinner, was the only one in the room who truly got what was going on. Not because she studied some complex theology, but because of pure instinct. She saw the cost of the path he was on, and she responded with an act of solidarity that basically said, "You are giving everything, so am I."
Okay, let's just break down the key differences between these two stories, because the details really matter. As you can see here, in that safe house version, she anoints his head, and the big complaint is about wasting expensive perfume. And Jesus' focus, it's on his burial. But in Luke's gospel, the act is way more intimate. She's weeping, washing his feet with her tears, and the objection is all about her being a sinner. And Jesus' response is all about forgiveness.
Then Jesus drops this absolutely stunning declaration. He says her story is going to be told forever. Now, this isn't just a nice compliment. To the men in that room, this is structurally offensive. He is putting her courageous, embodied act, not their careful intellectual critique, right at the very center of the whole story.
And just like that, the entire power structure of the room just gets turned completely upside down. The woman who walked in as a category, as a sinner, is now revealed to be the only one with real insight. Her shame isn't just erased, it just doesn't define her anymore.
So the whole event doesn't end in some nice, neat resolution. It ends in a clear split. On one side, you've got the woman's embodied truth. It's raw, it's costly, it's honest. And on the other side, you've got the men's righteous abstraction. A safe, intellectual debate that keeps messy, real life at arm's length.
Even after she's gone, the evidence is still there. The scent is still hanging in the air, and the broken pieces of that jar are still on the floor. It's such a powerful symbol, isn't it? It's proof that something permanent and irreversible just went down in a room full of people who wanted everything to stay exactly the same.
And that really leaves us with this final thought. In this story, it's an act of breaking. Breaking a jar, breaking the rules, breaking the silence that pushes the narrative forward and forces a showdown with the truth. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? In any story, what's that one courageous act that breaks things open and tilts the entire world toward whatever has to happen next?